dail a mwyniant mwyn yr hael a rwy'n ar y dolydd I brancio molian nhw'n oll yn llôn mae amser gwell iddo fod halleluia ac ar ôl y tywydd drwg fe nawn arian fel y mwg mae arwyddion dymunol o'n blaenau ffwlala, 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 la 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 ffwlala, 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 la 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 Robin goch yn llon I diwnio ar y fron a cheirio gyredin I ganu a chawn glywed whip ar wheel a llyffantod wrth y fil o'r goedwig yn mwnian chwibanu molian nhw'n oll yn llôn mae amser gwell iddo fod halleluia ac ar ôl y tywydd drwg fe nawn arian fel y mwg mae arwyddion dymunol o'n blaenau ffwlala, 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 la 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 ffwlala, 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 la 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 la
So that was a Welsh song called Moliannon, which is slightly premature. It's about the coming of spring, but, you know, looking forward. This next song's called Monuments, and it's based on a song by the Australian poet Dennis Kevins, actually about the Builders Labourers Federation in Sydney and their green bans, but I've adapted it to be a bit more farmy.
Some leave a marble monument or a statue made of brass to stand in cold retirement, being tickled by the grass. Some leave a passive portrait they've commissioned for a fee, but no one comes to sculpt or carve or paint a pic of me. Don't worry, I've been carved up by experts, not a few. The supermarkets use their knives to carve a pound or two. I've been sculpted by the cleaver winds that scream up in the moors. I've been painted by the mud and slush on bogging valley floors. I am a kind of monument, if you could read between the lines that mark my face with time and see just what they mean. The leagues and laughs and lands I've known, the years of wear and tear, no fortune teller on the earth could glean the stories there. From the harvest heavy barrow to the scythe that swings with ease, from the sucking clay court shovel to the foothills in the breeze, from feeding acres poured and shed to the heifer's wary eye, I've worked upon my monument and build before I die. I see your monuments displayed in cavalcades of war, in lands where you make ashes from the courage of the poor, in oil-choked harbours, upturned fish, and nuclear-sullied seas, in forests felled and deserts made of songbirds' aviaries. You've had your chance, you've run the world your way, you know it's true. Your monuments stick in my craw, the monuments to you. You leave your landfill laden with our labour's wasted get, the harvest of our youthful years, but we're not beaten yet. For there's a living monument to all we've lived and learned, the commons we've defended and the victories we have earned. And someday when your statues are but dust upon the air, the pollen of our fighting hearts will bloom again somewhere. And someday when your statues are but dust upon the air, the pollen of our fighting hearts will bloom again somewhere.
So this next song is something I wrote for the conference, and it's drawn from the words of Mariam Kaba and Kelly Hayes in their book, Let This Radicalize You, which is an amazing book and gets me through a lot. So this is called Possibility. Something a bit unintentionally funky there. Let's change that.
We gather here together in dark and gloomy weather, feeling more than just a winter's chill. It is fear that we are facing, the fear that we are racing to a fate beyond us to evade. But we will not surrender to inevitability. We will not accept the sentence of it all adds up. No, we will lift our voices and our hearts in their ability to make life and restore possibility. This is an act of destruction, a call to imagine, and that is a call to arms. Fighting cynicism and despair, we wage resistance, we wage care. The weapon that we wield is our hope. Singing, we will not surrender to inevitability. We will not accept the sentence of it all adds up. No, we will lift our voices and our hearts in their ability to make life and restore possibility. Our hope is not a feeling, it is action, it is doing something that we remake every day. It is the discipline of planting each and every sapling, even if the end times were at hand. For we will not surrender to inevitability. We will not accept the sentence of it all adds up. No, we will lift our voices and our hearts in their ability to make life and restore possibility. To make life and restore possibility.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Siwan. That was a stunningly beautiful performance, a lovely way to start the conference. Good morning, everyone. Here in the Town Hall, in the Assembly Room, in the Old Library, in the Wesley Memorial Church, and also to everybody online. Welcome to the 16th Real Oxford Farming Conference. My name is Andy Dibben. I'm an organic veg farmer, and I work as an advisor here at the conference, helping to advise on the farm practice sessions. It gives me a very privileged position to watch the amazing team of people who put this conference together in action. They are truly talented, passionate, and an inspiring group of people to work with. The conference they have put together for you this year, as always, is packed with innovative new ideas covering all aspects of fair and sustainable food and farming system, and now across 19 different venues, with a particularly strong focus this year on interaction with you, the delegates, and input from you as well. We're going to get the conference started by hearing from 6 different farmers. We've all been asked to choose one word that represents the conference to us. I have the honour of going first, and I've chosen to pick the word solidarity. In this room and online is all the technical skill, diversity of knowledge, time-earned wisdom and youthful energy needed to deliver a revolution in the way the world grows and distributes the food and materials we need to sustain ourselves. But time is running out. We are genuinely in a crisis. Producing food becomes harder and harder with every season as the weather intensifies. I used to learn new skills to increase my yields. I now learn them to maintain my yields. One thing I'm sure of is that diversity is one of the most important assets to farming. Diverse crops, techniques, routes to market and income streams offer the best resilience to climate change and turbulent economic times. A blinkered, pre-prescribed, dogmatic approach will not stand up to these times of constant, unpredictable change. As farmers, we need to build a toolbox of techniques and learn when best to use and not to use them. We hope that the technical farming sessions at this conference offer an opportunity to farmers to add some new skills to that toolbox of techniques. Most farmers are now aware of the importance of soil health, biodiversity, and reducing the negative impacts of our emissions. However, there is still much debate around what crops we should grow, how we should grow them, where we should grow them, and what else our farmland should be used for. These debates are no longer limited to just the farming community. They are everyday discussions at all levels of society, in families, schools, pubs, and parliaments. Farming and food has never had such a high profile. But with this exposure and airtime has come division as well, often caused by factions focusing on singular parts of a very complicated, nuanced subject, convinced that their own particular focus is the most important. Food security, climate change, trees, biodiversity, carbon, wind turbines, solar power, public health, workers' rights. It is a minefield of passionate, emotive subjects farmers have to pick their way through in relation to their own farms, businesses, and communities. The reality is that farmers have a crucial role and often unique perspective when it comes to all of these subjects. There are some great sessions over the next few days showcasing exactly how farmers are successfully negotiating this complex set of problems by working simultaneously with a wide range of experts to deliver holistic solutions. However, with current weather and economic conditions, so much of our time as farmers is taken up with the challenge of day-to-day food production. Many problems we can begin to address on our farms, but many more of the problems we face are beyond the farm gate and often beyond our skill bases as farmers. We are totally reliant on the rest of society to help solve these problems. So we need to build a diverse team of people from all walks of life to deliver meaningful change. This conference is a fantastic opportunity for farmers to realise that many in society understand the challenges we are facing and are actively fighting the fight on our behalf. We should be grateful for this and actively engage in supporting their work as they strive to do this. One thing is certain, if we are to have any chance in overcoming the challenges we face now, we must work together. We must actively move away from an us and them mentality. It is far too prevalent in society currently and often very strong within farming communities as well. Meat eater or vegan, land sparing or land sharing, ploughing or not ploughing, robots or migrant labour, there are strong views on all of these subjects and many, many more. In reality, they all have their place. These are not the us and thems we should be focused on. In 2023, Syngenta manufactured and exported from this country over 8,000 tonnes of pesticide the UK had already banned for use here. In the same year, Tesco's posted profits of £2.69 billion, while in the same year, 500 dairy farmers were forced out of business. It is this greedy, corrupt and immoral behaviour of supermarkets, large multinational corporations and the politicians who allow this to continue happening that we should be focusing on. And to stop them, we must all work together. Many people here and online are already committed to bringing about this change, but we all need to find another gear and work together as a movement more effectively. I hope you can all use the next 2 days to gather new knowledge and learn effective ways of getting that knowledge across to a wider audience. It is important after the conference that we all step outside of our echo chambers and not just preach to the converted. What we know must be spread as far and wide as possible. All forms of resistance are relevant and necessary. Direct action, education, political engagement, and art are all equally powerful and effective. We all know our own strengths. We must use them, and crucially, support others as they use theirs. Together we are stronger. Together we can deliver this revolution. Solidarity. Thank you and have a good conference.
Hello, morning everyone. Thanks Siwan a lot for the beautiful performance. And thanks Andy for the inspiring words. And especially thank you for everyone who put so much effort on this amazing gathering. My name is Edu. I'm a small-scale vegetable farmer living in Amsterdam, a member of La Via Campesina, the European coordination, and extremely happy and nervous to be here. I wanted to say that today, my good friend Paola Laini was supposed to be here delivering these beautiful words on sovereignty. Sadly, she couldn't make it last minute, so I'm here to read these beautiful words on sovereignty. So the words are from Paola Laini, a young farmer worker based in northern Italy, member of the Italian Rural Association and the youth articulation of La Via Campesina. So warm greetings to you all, and thanks for inviting once more La Via Campesina to take part in this opening ceremony. I hope I can contribute to make this space energizing and motivational in a spirit of collaboration and exchange with you all. I would love to bring to our table the notion of sovereignty, more specifically food sovereignty. La Via Campesina defines food sovereignty as the right of people, countries, and state unions to define their agriculture and food policy without any dumping, vis-a-vis, or third countries. The concept of food sovereignty, today largely used by social movements, academics, and some nation governments, was coined by La Via Campesina in 1996 and presented to a bordered audience during the World Food Summit in the same year as the counter-narrative to neoliberalism. Food sovereignty is about the freedom to decide for yourself, for your family, your community, your territory, your country. The food that you want to eat, the hands and hairs you grew, the mouth you will eat, the seeds and how they will germinate, in which waters and in which soils. We must defend this freedom, this right, and we must defend food sovereignty against any form of cooptation and grabbing. Food sovereignty resonates with justice, international solidarity. Food sovereignty resonates with people's voice, angry voices that shout the end of all wars, to stop all free trade agreements, to smash imperialism, to take agriculture out of the WTO, to have agrarian reforms, access to land and territories, a new trade framework based on food sovereignty and solidarity, the protection of peasant rights and agroecology. To defend food sovereignty, we need everyone's voices, not only farmers, but also agriculture and food workers, researchers, consumers, movements which fight for social and ecological justice. And there, at the very front line of their endless march, we embrace minorities of all kinds, because the transformation that we struggle for is based on care and equity, so the ones which now speak little or nothing will be speaking first. La Via Campesina has been cooperating with the Oxford Real Farming Conference for several years in the spirit of alliance building, and we are here once again to reiterate our full commitment and welcome new people to join the global food movement for food sovereignty. It's almost 30 years after the creation of the concept. The movement has launched a process on deepen and widen the concept and invited global movements to articulate an intersectional convergence towards joint proposals for system change. This process will culminate this year in the upcoming Nyaleni Global Forum in India. The time is right. Globally, we are experiencing more and more criminalization and repression of any forms of dissent, freedom, identity, and autonomy. The rise of the extreme right-wing parties and the corporate power translate into the rise of people's oppression. All this is a severe threat to food sovereignty worldwide. Why are governments so afraid of people's sovereignty? That's the good question. I am tormented by this question, but the answer is closer to me than I think. The thought, image, sound of memory of people fighting to defend their rights, or the rights of somebody else, brings me to tears. Not only people protesting in the street, but people counting to do what they do despite complete denial. A comrade from ARI, the Associazione Rurale Italiana, the Via Campesina, the farmers' organization to which Paola is part in Italy, was recently been in Palestine with a small delegation of La Via Campesina. When she returned, she shared a message that I would like to share with you all. The Palestinian people that I had the chance to meet are the most peasant people I have ever met. They cultivate at the risk of their life and health. They cultivate even if water and land are taken away from them. If they have a square meter, they plant a tree. If they don't, they cultivate on terrace and window sills. If they cannot even do that, they draw olive trees, vines, and corn on walls. This is why governments are afraid of people's sovereignty, because of its force, which is destructive and reproductive at the same time. Because people's sovereignty is autonomous and resilient, and the strongest solution to overcome any crisis. Because people's sovereignty connects rather than dividing people, and finds in diversity, human and ecological, its best energy. My message to you all, do not stand alone. Connect to people, peasants and farmers in your territory, your communities, movement, big or small. Their autonomy, and when you think something is unjust, just say it. And say it out loud with consciousness that all fragile bodies, bombed bodies, wrecked and broken bodies, beaten and raped bodies are all yours, are all mine. Globalize the struggle, globalize hope. Thank you.
Where's the thing? This is the thing. Wow. Can you guys hear me? Is it there or here? Here. There. This is so scary. Okay. Greetings, everybody. Greetings. My name is Sandra Salazar. I am the founder of an organization, Go Grow with Love. And my word to you today is love. Okay? So, I'd just like to take a moment to give thanks to our ancestors for allowing this space and these beautiful souls to come together and do the works that we're doing in supporting the land and each other. Okay, so I'll start again. Greetings to you all, incredible farmers, food activists, and change makers. It is my profound honor to stand amongst you guys on the 16th year of the Oxford Real Farming Conference. To me, this conference represents a diverse of voices, all coming together to share the commitment in regenerating food systems across the world and healing our relationship with the land and each other. I am deeply, deeply inspired to be here with you today, because I can see that this gathering is more than just a gathering. It's a divine call, a divine movement. This divine movement is rooted in love, resilience, and the collective of power of those who nurture the soil and sustain communities. Together, we are here to reimagine what farming, agriculture, agroecology, Afroecology would look like. A force for equity, healing, and transformation. Now, my story into food growing began with the simple, profound act of sowing a seed, an act that was actually an intentional mistake. I found myself digging the soil, and whilst I was digging the soil, answers just came to me. We call them downloads or uploads, and it changed my life. So, I feel that the land speaks to those that will listen, and in this space, life and love can be regenerated. It's a renewal so profound that you can feel it in your soul. Now, we have this concept of growing food with love, and the reason why this is real is because when you grow food with love, you can, not only can you see it in the colors, but you can also taste it. And that is not being big-headed, that is real. I'm going to pass it on to Dee to say a few words.
Thank you, Sandra. And I'd just like to share one of those downloads which I shared yesterday at the Listening to the Land event. And it is about Sankofa, which is a Ghanaian concept and belief about going back to fetch it so that we're able to move forward. We need to look back at what our ancestors did in terms of their resilience, their resistance, of creating belonging and safety, and doing that from a place of heart. And in moving forward, we need to be co-creating together to build this movement. And this is not just a revolution, it is evolution of us as people connected to land, to each other. So Oxford Real Farming Conference at the beginning of every year sets the tone for how we intend to walk for the rest of the year. So I would say to people, open your heart space. Listen to each other and listen to land and follow what your heart says. Thank you. Ashe.
I'm Jim Aplin. I started farm and woodland work in the 1990s, became an organic... Is that better? I became an organic grower in 2000, joined the board of the Organic Growers Alliance in 2018. Meanwhile, I was diagnosed autistic in 2017, and by definition, that's what I've been all my life. All around us, there's a huge diversity of people: colour, gender, age, sexuality, culture, mobility, and more. And there's diversity in our brains, not just the opinions, skills, or memories that we hold, but underlying hardwired differences in how we process stimuli and information for the world outside and how we then interact with it. That's where neurodivergence lies, and it's a natural, evolved part of human biodiversity. As farmers, we know that biodiversity is a driving, productive force. Birdsong, buzzing insects, and the smell of healthy soil aren't just beautiful, they're pest control, pollination, and fertility building in action. We nourish and encourage biodiversity to build productive and resilient ecosystems and farms. Just like that, we need to nourish and encourage human biodiversity to build productive, resilient farms and farming movements. In many ways, UK farming is hampered by a lack of diversity, old, white and male like me. But we already have far more than our fair share of neurodiversity. Last week, a Farmers Weekly survey found that farming may have twice the rate of neurodivergent conditions as the wider population, 1 in 3 as opposed to 1 in 6. It's a figure that Lantra has already come out with before. That's ADHD, autism, dyslexia and more. Many without a diagnosis or who would not want the label of one. People who replied to this survey believe that qualities that contribute to their effective farming are attributable to their neurodivergence hardwiring. An intense focus or an acute eye for patterns and systems, or a near photographic memory for soils and species over various fields and times, these all have obvious benefits. But neurodivergence can come at a cost, often accompanied by sensory hypersensitivity and social difficulties. Light, sounds and other stimuli and social uncertainty or confusion can cause neurons in our brains to fire up in far greater numbers than for normal. Metabolic reactions, adrenaline and fight, flight, freeze response kicks in, and relief or release of this storm can become urgent. And that can be the everyday lived experience of autism. We can feel like outsiders anywhere. And it can be magnified at events like this. Anyone can find a hubbub and intense discussions at ORSC tiring and find a quiet break to be welcome relief. On the spectrum, it can be a straight choice between escape and meltdown. How do we include this diversity but still maintain the vibrant creativity of the conference? It's great that the ORFC team have provided a quiet space here at the conference, and I'd also like to thank them for the support they've given to a group of us neurodivergent folk who are putting on a session here. They've listened to our concerns and reacted positively. It's also up to everyone here to make people feel welcome and committed and included. We create the environment here, so it's okay for people to wear noise-cancelling earphones. They can make you feel comfortable. If someone suddenly gets up and leaves a session, we don't have to judge them as disruptive or disrespectful. They may just need to physically move about and to do so urgently. Everyone needs to feel included here and able to speak out or ask questions, not just the neurodivergent, but everyone who's quiet, nervous, or feels out of place, whether it's due to discrimination, marginalisation, past experience, or simply their natural character. If someone's afraid to speak up, how can the rest of us know what we're missing? Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Denise Walton. I farm with my family in South East Scotland. We also process and sell our farm produce direct to the public along as short a farming and food chain as possible. With my family, I make this incredible pilgrimage down to this conference most years. And it's a very important part of our yearly annual cycle. Being here before you and everyone online is the most immense honour, I can't tell you. So when I was invited to contribute to this plenary on wisdom, I was very quickly challenged by putting wisdom into words to share with you the most significant human collective of land and nature wisdom on the planet. Yes? It was like guddling for trout against the bank of a fast-flowing burn. It's gone when you thought you had it. Or even seeing the reflection of a star from the universe in a puddle at your feet. You want to pick it up, scoop it up, and have it. But then as soon as you move, it disappears. And then I realized I knew what I knew anyway, that wisdom isn't for grasping or catching or having. It's in all life. It's here. It's in us, with us, through us. It's this cascade of knowingness from source within the spark of every sentient living cell. Within and between all living things, multitudes in multitudes of a collective, connective continuum with the universe. Knowingness before knowledge. Feel it. Feel the wisdom. Can you? Yes? Can you let wisdom feel you? Yes? This knowingness of wisdom is the true treasure chest of imagination, the beginnings of envisioning. As farmers and growers and land workers, you, me, us, we have this direct hands-on connection with soil, plants, our farm animals, with nature. It's our living. We have this collective privilege to access to life other than a lot of other human beings. But we humans, as an animal species, are consciously destroying our own habitat. How crazy is that? No other animal species does this. Our particular human community, farmers, growers, food producers, is at the front line of this craziness, part of its cause, much of its consequence. It calls for nothing less than the extraordinary, the profound, to make good the harm. I'd like to share with you a story about one of us, a land worker, a farmer, which is pertinent in many ways to where we find ourselves now. This farmer, together with the rocks and soils on his farm telling him, envisioned the impossible, the extraordinary, the profound. This farmer, James Hutton, introduced myself and Colin, Tudge, lovely to see you, to each other some years ago at a meal not far from here. It sparked an enduring friendship. It is of no relevance whatsoever that James Hutton will be 300 years old next year. He was very present at our conversation at that meal. He farmed in the Eye Valley, which is just over the hill from where we Waltons farm in southeast Scotland. In the course of working his farm, he became increasingly puzzled by what he was seeing in the soil and rock, including the movement of soil by rain from his fields into the burns, which run into the Eye Water and then into the North Sea. Following painstaking reading of the rocks, as he put it, God's hand writ in the rocks, he pieced together over some 30 years a theory with regeneration at its heart, but regeneration over a very, very long time. That the formation of rocks from soil and the age of earth could not possibly have taken place within the timescale dictated by the Bible, 6,000 years, but must be much, much older. And so in 1788, against the odds, huge odds, of the perceived truth of the time, and a belief system which exacted retribution for contradiction considered heresy, punishable by hanging, he presented his theory of the earth to the Royal Society of Edinburgh. Wisdom, knowingness gradually prevailed amongst his peers, and his theory was eventually accepted, setting the pace, changing science forever, changing our perception of time forever, introducing us to the concept of deep time, influencing the origin of species. The ultimate in regeneration, that of Earth itself, through the recycling and uplift by its own processes of its own materials with knowingness, was worked out by one of us, a farmer, who sensed the wisdom of this knowingness and followed his vision through, unfettered by the prevailing knowledge systems of the time. James Hutton envisioned the extraordinary from that spark of sentience. We all of us have it. The wisdom knowingness which has immense collective power to make the magnitude of change needed for repair, restoration, healing. I know from working on our own farm for many years how easy it is to slip into the mechanical responses to the relentless pressures of production, breeding cycles, weather, cash flow, exhaustion. And when at that peak of exhaustion, of diminishing hope, no more to give, it filters through. The knowingness carried on that moment of silence, in a cry from the fields, or a flutter of wings in a hedge, or the first suckle of a calf, colostrum smeared over his nose, her nose, or that delicate scent of new steaming afterbirth, the first germination, the smell of earth, that shaft of clear knowingness, that clear call of rightful purpose, earth regeneration with wisdom knowingness, our collective strength to do the profound, to restore and regenerate as part of the multitudes in us and between us, of which, to quote the farmer James Hutton, we see no vestige of a beginning, no prospect of an end to the regeneration of our earth, of which we, this collective, this gathering, are such an integral part. Remember, fellow farmers, fellow growers, fellow land workers, friends. The next time you carve a cow, lamb a ewe, have your hands deep into the soil as you plant. Look up, even only briefly, to the sky, to the heavens, and know that you are as much a part of the light as you are of the earth. Thank you.
That was a very James Rebounds thing to do. I nearly went to the wrong place. I've been sitting here thinking, what the heck am I going on the stage for when there's all this amazing procession of people, and also that the best words got chosen first. Love is an amazing word. And also, what am I going to say that wasn't in the songs right at the start? Everything, I believe, was in those songs, if you listen carefully. So I'm going to talk quite quickly, because I don't want to take up too much time. We've got a busy day ahead. I chose the word resistance. And I feel a little silly telling this room full of people because I think you're pretty good resistors already, but I'm just going to say these things anyway. There are so many things in the world now which people are treating as if they're okay, as if they're acceptable, that are really not okay and really not acceptable. And I'm just going to rhyme some of them off. The idea that food can get ever cheaper without consequence. What a ludicrous idea that is, but it's absolutely at the heart of our economic system. I know, right now I'm another white guy talking too much on a stage, but my head, half of my head is thinking about home right now in the Lake District at 1,200 foot up. We've got a foot of snow, and I've left a 17-year-old farming, cow-obsessed girl in charge of a farm. And like dads do, I'm worrying whether she's going to get up the lane, whether she can carry those hay bales. I'm worrying how cold her hands are. You know, when you're cutting the bale string and your hands are absolutely singing with frost. It was -8 yesterday, so I'm worried it's still that cold. And I'm also a little bit proud that my 17-year-old girl can do that, because she is really, really kick-ass. And I have to, yeah. And I used to think, when I was a boy, I thought I knew what a farmer was. It was an old, grumpy white guy like my granddad, who seemed like he knew everything, and who everybody listened to and obeyed. It seemed so attractive. You just had to be white and get old and be a man, and it was fine. It would all work. And I've come to the conclusion that that's bullshit, excuse my French, that really the point of me and my wife, Helen, who's integral to everything we do on the farm as well, is to create a farm that actually has a future, that is sustainable, is biodiverse, is profitable, does make sense, doesn't kill you with slog. Too much farming kills you with slog. And so I'm a little bit proud too that the farm we've built and changed, and by the way, we built it by stopping thinking that my granddad knew everything and starting to listen to people in this room. People like Colin and a whole heap of other people that 30 years ago, people like my family probably thought were cranks. Should be honest about that. We were very conventional farmers, doing all the things that now sort of bring me out in cold sweats. That was us, that was my family and many, many thousands of others. But it turns out that if cranks keep at it for long enough, some cranks are right, aren't they? So on behalf of my family, I'll doff my cap to some of the people that seem cranky but were absolutely right. And frankly, when we've changed our farm, we've gone and looked for those brilliant cranks who are around for 20, 30, 40, 50 years, who learned the great stuff about regenerative grazing, who believed that and knew the great stuff about soil, all the rest of it. It goes on and on and on. So why resistance? Well, resistance to this stupid idea that farming isn't important. Yeah, it's bloody important. It's so important. I went to a meeting recently with the Food and Farming Commission. Sue Pritchard got me there, and another amazing woman, where there was a professor talking about the cost of our food system. This is just UK-based, and the cost to us in lost work and ill health, he calculated as being £268 billion a year. In this country, we're arguing with the Treasury about tens of millions, hundreds of millions, about a broken food system which is making us be a sick society, which has massive, massive costs. That's not okay. When did that become okay? That's absolutely being treated as if it's no big deal. It's crazy. It's crazy to think we can constantly bring food from somewhere else. No, we can't without consequence. It's crazy to think that we can undermine our own farmers, that we can not only allow farmers elsewhere to use pesticides we don't use, but they're allowed to import that stuff into our country, and we'll have the company that makes that crap in our country and let them export it. What kind of crazy crap is that? That's not okay. It's not okay to have a food system that makes producing food essentially unprofitable. What kind of lunacy is that? There are figures coming out of North America and Canada at the moment that the actual farming part of farm businesses is now not profitable. Like what? The end point of farming is that you owe millions of pounds to scale up and you have all the technology and the machinery, but you don't make any money from doing it? Like, that's seriously batshit. Not only do they want you to wreck the world to make things cheaper, but at the end of it, they don't want you? Like, no, I'm off that train. I don't want to ride it anymore. It's not okay for supermarkets to bully farmers. And boy, do they bully farmers. They bully farmers. I'll tell you another thing that's not okay. It's not okay for 10 or 15 years to talk about giving farmers a choice of providing public goods, things that we all need, for public funds, and then to not open the door for them to do so, to not come up with the money for them to do so. That's not okay. That's a con. It's disgraceful, and it's a betrayal of British farmers. Everything is not okay. For all the beautiful, articulate reasons people have already given here today, and in many of the sessions today, they'll do it again. Things are a mess. I'm a very proud farmer, but it's in the context of also being a slightly ashamed farmer. You look at what's happening to curlews. You look at what's happening to farmland birds, farmland insects. You look at how we treat workers often in farming. You look at so many things about farming. I'm not so proud when I look at some of those statistics, so we've got a hell of a lot of work to do before we can look ourselves in the face. Yeah, resistance, resistance, resistance. And yeah, so the thing on our farm that's really, really changed is I've stopped thinking my granddad knew everything. The penny dropped about 20 years ago. We didn't know a damn thing about what we were doing. Didn't know a damn thing about how you put carbon in soil. We didn't know a damn thing about soil biology. We didn't really know a damn thing about breeding functional livestock that could live out and do the things that we need them to do. And I go back to that first thing, that 17-year-old who's now hopefully getting home from feeding cows up on a hillside. She sent me some pictures, which I put on Instagram earlier. Our cows, all right up to their eye line, are covered in snow dust because they spent all of yesterday digging through the snow. And I'm kind of proud of that too, because those cows get almost no supplementary feeding, even in a foot of snow. There's no antibiotic use. We've been carbon audited. I'm not bragging. I'm talking about the progress we've made. We're trapping and sequestering way more carbon below the ground than we used to. But above all of that stuff, and I can tell you about habits, that's another stuff, I remain proudest of all of that 17-year-old girl doing it. And I think my job and our job is to come up with farming systems that work, that enable that 17-year-old girl and all the others, including your young people, that they have a future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, James. That was wonderful. Those were all beautiful speeches. I am here to do some housekeeping, but before I do that, I just want you to all take in those words again: solidarity, sovereignty, wisdom, inclusion, resistance, love, and Siwan's possibility. And we are a huge group, a huge motley crew, and those words will speak differently to all of you. So find whatever was in those speeches that speaks most to you, gives a sense to you of your own power and conviction, and allow it to seed in you a sense of power as we go through the next few days. We're about to get into the fine grain of the sessions, but I don't want you to forget that feeling that you've been given by whichever word spoke to you most this morning. So the programme is huge. It's amazing, and we're really proud of it this year. It's created by all of you. We've got a huge diversity of sessions. We've got over 150 sessions. That can feel really overwhelming. We're lucky, as we program it, to work with our incredible program partners who help us bring it together. But for you, over the next few days, I would just like to say, please plan ahead. If there's a session you really want to go to, arrive early. When a session is full, we will have to close the doors and you will need to find an alternative session, which is absolutely fine because, as everyone says to us every single year, it's the session they didn't plan to go to that spoke most to them. So it's going to be exciting. I'm just going to check what else I need to tell you. So a few venue changes that for those of you who have been here many years in a row might find strange. So the main hall is very excitingly now our social space. We'll be having our plenaries in here, but we are going to be using it for music and dancing later, for food, for teas and coffees, to meet all of our wonderful exhibitors. So whenever you're lost for something to do, come here and there'll be lots of us hanging around chatting. And we also have a new venue, which is going to be our speakers hall. So anyone that was here last year and you were seeing lots of amazing sessions happening on this stage, you will want to go to Wesley Memorial Church. That's where we've had our registration, so you all know it already. It is 5 minutes away. It's a very simple route. You go up the road and left, and you'll find it. But that road that you will go up is a very big, dangerous and busy road, so please all be careful as you're crossing St. Aldate's. You have a huge map in your programs, so you will know your way around. But we also have another new venue, which is St. Columba's, and that is behind us. So there's a few venues that you go out of the church, left and round, and you'll find some of our new venues. So just be aware that we've got lots of new spaces. We cannot stop growing. We will take over the centre of Oxford at some point, just not yet. Okay, we have lots of wonderful volunteers with us today. We've got 100 volunteers. They are wearing high-vis. If you have a question, if you are lost, you can speak to them as your first port of call, and they will be able to tell you where to go. This is my opportunity to remind everyone to please be respectful of our wonderful volunteers. They are here to keep us safe. We also have some information desks, one outside the main hall and one outside Wesley Memorial Church. So if you have any further questions, that's where to go. Lots of you will already have noticed that we had a fire alarm test in here this morning, twice. And we don't have any more fire alarm tests planned for any of the venues. So if you hear an alarm, please exit to the nearest assembly point. That is all I have to say, apart from you have to wear your lanyard. Oh, you must wear your lanyards because otherwise you may not be allowed into venue spaces. So please keep hold of them. They are your most precious object for the next few days. We're going to close now with the amazing hot poets who I'm very excited to welcome to the stage.
Hi everybody, I can hear you all shuffling. You're so eager to get to your first sessions. Just wait one moment. They're not going to start without you. Well, they might do, but I'm a hot poet. These are my hot poet friends, obviously. Yeah? Thank you. I think one of the most important things that any artist can do to support a better future and planet is tell the stories of farmers. And it has been our great privilege at Hot Poets, where we match amazing poets with scientists and farmers and change agents around the world to tell stories of a better future. We've been working with the Gaia Foundation. Are you here, Gaia Foundation? I asked you this last year and you'd all gone home. They're shy, but they're here. Oh, they're back, right at the back. We've been on a project called We Feed the UK, where we've put 10 poets with 10 regenerative farmers and food producers to tell their stories. They've also been matched with photographers, and there's been an exhibition going around the country of these poems and photographs of these stories of farmers. So we've created a bit of a mashup, a bit of a poetry mashup, and you're all going to be, just pause your desire to leave to listen to it. Tonight at the Story Museum, in the woodshed, we will be doing a full show between 8 and 9:30. Please come. We've got all our farmers there as well. It's going to be a wonderful evening. But we've got a little poem now we're going to share, which is a kind of mash-up of bits of all of our poems. And we've called it Bad Farmers. So, are you ready? Are you ready? Bad Farmers.
The autumnal morning cold on this farm up in the lakes. One bloke, two bloke, the third one's on the way. Fingertips in well-worn work gloves, a sharpened chainsaw, heads crowned with caps so as not to snag on thorns. A pair of nippers lie on the grass next to a small sheathed axe. A grandfather ligs a father, a son. They say, love the little stuff, and the bigger stuff will come.
Fred says, I came back from college with my head alive. Chemical agronomy well aligned with everything I wished for. To do what Grandad did, but better. Double the yield, triple the pressure. Every solution agrochemical. Every plant genetically identical. And so much expense. Insecticide, fertilizer, fungicide, contact herbicide, molluscicide, all sprayed from the tractor that Grandad died on. Heart attack, but I'd forget that and drive on.
Habitat hollowers, monoculture followers, ripping out hedgerows, burning life at the edges, stolen fields, sacrificed to bumper yields, pied pipered by profit-driven pesticides. But you are wiser than the fertilizer.
5 years of misery, all work, no breather, until the day I woke with stress-induced alopecia. I stared at the mirror and saw what I'd been fighting against. My own farm, my own common sense. For once, I listened to the seeds. They were asking, what does this land here need?
The sky is falling in County Tyrone. 49 days from now it will bloom wee blue blossoms. For 12 dashing hours Lizette and Avion flowers will soft chew, shuffle, dance, then die. Then return to dance, die, turn in their graves, scattering the seeds of next year's sky. The opposite of apocalypse.
The seeds say, there are 600,000 players in our field. Come find us. Wolf, Mariaja Toba, Norigard, Cicciarelli, Oak Farm, population wheats. Crosses between many strains, many genes, all jostling to be. So popping with abilities, every crop is a metropolis, bristling with possibility.
Worm furniture, time cruisers, bird hitchhikers, soil snoozers, silt shakers, surface breakers, delicious heritage recipe makers.
Meanwhile, the knapweed's busy supporting 40 different species. Bad farming, some call this. But bad farmers know that old rot makes for great fertilizer when we remember the lie of the land. There are other paths through the long grass, like the one taken very early in the morning to the 1940s scutcheon turbine awakening for the first time in 40-odd years. A bad farmer pulls up the sleeves of her grandfather's old linen shirt.
Takes a breath. Clouds beyond rush by. 2 hot Septembers turn from wet to dry, but in the sky a red kite glides.
The bees and linnets have returned. Devil's bit scabious and marsh fritillaries also pull up their sleeves because this gentle work is hard. But what farmer doesn't work hard?
It's the sun who bends a hawthorn tree towards Dad, who chainsaws, then axes, then the weight of them both, father and son, pull the tree downward, creating a lig. Laying it down, yet still connected to the stump, this vital look looks tenuous, but nature doesn't need much. Life, the sap, will always find its way up. skillfully twisting boughs into breaks, cultivating a network of linking, artistically shaping, weaving a new lineage.
Volunteers gather to pull the yellowed flax with bare hands. They marvel at what can be achieved when we pull together as sheaves, stand together as stooks.
Wildflower waves lap the fields and watercourses. Butterflies pirouette, insects hustle. Everywhere is buzz and rustle. Birds follow worms, follow the margins into the mainstream.
Sooner than you think, the lig turns green with moss and lichen, and with over 130 species inside them.
The hedgerows offer bounties of opportunity. Hazelnuts, rose hips, berries, bring your baskets. This is not a dream, and yet it is.
The hedgerows become home for the hedgehog, the vole, field mouse attracting owls, tree sparrows, blackcaps, whitethroats, bugs, butterflies and bees, so pollen and seeds are cast on the breeze.
And most important, spray wizard. We do not need your weird potions poured on our feet to spring into life. We are life springs. So chuck us in the dirt and step back.
The sky is not falling.
We are rising.
Now all around the skies are swarming. Bumblebees pollinate and eagles soar. Nightingales sing to everything and everything sings back for more.
See, to lig is poetry, cutting and bending lines so new life will come. Inking with saplings across landscapes, collecting carbon, writing with hawthorn, blackthorn and willow with cursive hands. A conference of landowners with the onus on the land.
There is hope here. The power to regenerate the land. There is hope here. The size of a freckle on a hand. There is hope here. The soil still knows what it needs. Hush a minute. Listen close to the seeds.
Good admire.
Also stop, but keep going. Please come and see the full poems tonight in our show. But just to say, to introduce everyone, which I should have done at the beginning, this is Disraeli, this is Abby Oliveira, this is Testament. And I'm Liv Talk. And our farmers are all here. And just to say, James Robinson from Strictly Farm in Cumbria. We have Fred Price and Rosie Benson from the Southwest Grain Network with Disraeli. And we have Helen Keyes and Charlie Mallon from Mallon Farm. And I was writing about the wonderful Martin Lyons. So please come and see more of our poems and stories tonight. And come and talk to me. You can easily find me because I don't look like a farmer. No farmer would wear these shorts, ever. If you want us to tell your story, that's what we do. So have a wonderful conference.